Have you noticed how many channels are branding video game franchises as dead or overused? Well, I'm no exception to that. I definitely am no exception to that. But one franchise that I would really say did get oversaturated and died at a certain point in time, in fact, would be Call of Duty in 2016 with the release of Infinite Warfare. By the time Infinite Warfare did release, people were bored of sci-fi Call of Duties. We'd had Black Ops 2, Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and now Infinite Warfare. Also to mention that Titanfall 2 released in the same year as Infinite Warfare. Now that would have been fine, except the fact that they both shared a similar aesthetic probably didn't help both of those franchises into gaining mass sales. Even from the release trailer of Infinite Warfare, people were angry, not only because the franchise would return to a sci-fi setting, but also because they ruined a cover of Space Oddity by David Bowie, and I'm not having it. Honestly, they should have just used the original, but who am I to judge? Either way, this trailer became the 9th most disliked video on YouTube, and that must have really hit Infinity Ward, the developer of Infinite Warfare, straight in the chest, and must have been a really big morale knockback for the entire team. At this point, I'm pretty sure Activision would have been bricking it, and that's probably why they pushed for the next Call of Duty that would be released to be in a World War II setting, which is one that the community have wanted for a very long time, as we haven't seen that setting since World at War, which came out in 2008. After this trailer released, there was no real hype for this game. The only reason I feel like it sold moderately well was because of Modern Warfare Remastered being bundled in with the Legacy edition of Infinite Warfare, where you'd have to pay about £30 more to get this Modern Warfare Remastered. This was probably the second biggest controversy for Infinite Warfare. So many people just wanted Modern Warfare Remastered, and instead had to buy a game that they didn't want, that being Infinite Warfare, just to get Modern Warfare Remastered. And a few months down the line, they eventually just released Modern Warfare Remastered as a separate game, which caused mass backlash from the Call of Duty community for those who had shelled out extra money to get the Legacy Edition to play Modern Warfare Remastered. They probably put this into Infinite Warfare to sell more units, but this is just the promotional stuff for Infinite Warfare. We haven't even gotten to the in-game controversies yet, and this will be a good way to start segueing over there, so let's go. I'm one of the few people who enjoyed and possibly even tried the campaign. Kit Harington as the antagonist was a great choice, and the protagonist Reyes feels like a battle-hardened soldier, and not just a new one, which is how it feels with basically every other Call of Duty. This makes the game feel more realistic and tonally sound. The campaign really did embrace the sci-fi elements, and a lot more than Black Ops 3 did. This was a great step, and they weren't just tiptoeing around the sci-fi, much like other Call of Duties who went the sci-fi route did. I'm really glad Infinite Warfare really embraced the sci-fi elements in their campaign, and I say specifically the campaign. I didn't really enjoy it in the multiplayer aspect of the game, but in the campaign I really did. I think the thing is that people don't really enjoy having lasers and everything like that in a franchise that was built up from a World War aesthetic, and that's fine. I'm glad that people have differing opinions on that, but at least Infinite Warfare went full force with their sci-fi and didn't just half-arse it like Black Ops 3 did. Many don't acknowledge this fact, and therefore the game seems to always be overlooked. Now, that doesn't mean that it was all good. I didn't really enjoy the space combat in the game, and many of the bullet spongy enemies felt tedious and unnecessary in a realistic shooter simulator. I feel like most Call of Duty fans would enjoy the campaign, but not many would be willing to re-download it again just to play the campaign. I even had to delete games off my hard drive to play and download Infinite Warfare, and as soon as I got all my footage for this video, I deleted it clean off my hard drive purely because I don't enjoy playing the game very much. Multiplayer is undoubtedly the main reason people pick up the newest Call of Duty, and when people did, they weren't happy with Infinite Warfare straight off the bat. The specialist system returned from Black Ops 3, which was a controversy in itself, but the actual mechanics around it worked well, but they didn't run as smoothly as Black Ops 3's did. The maps were more open, and therefore traversal was actually useful. Now, not everything in a multiplayer map can be traversed, and the places you aren't allowed to traverse on, like wall running, are not obvious, and this does get slightly annoying. There isn't really much to say about multiplayer, it's just your generic multiplayer with nothing really special about it. And honestly, it's just your standard sci-fi Call of Duty multiplayer. Honestly, Infinite Warfare Zombies is where the game shines, especially with its launch map, that being Zombies in Spaceland. Infinite Warfare is mainly known for its zombies, which is a satirical and comedic take on Treyarch's zombie mode. I really enjoy Infinite Warfare Zombies. I feel like Infinity Ward really put their own twist on their mode. I enjoyed most of the maps until the final DLC, which just felt like what an Extinction 2 could have been. Cryptids certainly felt shoehorned into the mode and were really unnecessary. Infinite Warfare, I'd say, has the most replayable zombies mode with the super Easter egg, where you can get the perks permanently whenever you load into a match, and also the replayable boss fights, instead of having to go through all the Easter egg steps just to do the boss fight. Honestly, this was a really nice addition to the mode. Infinite Warfare is now one of the most hated Call of Duty games in the community. After the release of Infinite Warfare, Call of Duty went to a World War II setting, a setting that everyone has wanted since the release of Advanced Warfare. And everyone felt like it was a return to form for Call of Duty. It was coming back to what everyone wanted Call of Duty to be. And people were looking forward to a more grounded in reality Call of Duty, opposed to a sci-fi one. Then, after World War II had released, the next entry would be Black Ops 4, which released and undid everything that World War II set players up for. In fairness, wall running and boost jumping were removed, but specialists returned also. And with Modern Warfare from 2019's release, the community has been brought back from the grave. Players are interested as to what will be released for the next Call of Duty. Now, to be brutally honest, when Infinite Warfare released, it scarred the Call of Duty community and killed some of its player base. After Infinite Warfare, people felt like Call of Duty just wasn't Call of Duty. It was going to be a sci-fi game forever, and the new movement system would stick for years to come. But the day that Infinite Warfare dropped, and even the trailer for Infinite Warfare dropped, was a period in time where Call of Duty died for its fans. It was luckily revitalised by Modern Warfare from 2019, but players will never forget the time where Call of Duty's reputation did in fact die in 2016. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, then subscribe and turn on that notification button so you don't miss another upload from me. So thank you and goodbye.